All right, so O's Rangers series is over. Texas sweeps Baltimore for the first time. For the Orioles in, gosh, a long time that the Orioles were swept, and that's going to be a talking narrative, right? Well, the Orioles picked the wrong time to get swept. Well, let's think about it for a second here. And first off, I'll start off as a player. I never liked being told after a game or after everything was done, it's been a great ride. It was a great season. As a competitor, you're pissed, especially when you get your ass kicked. So I do understand that wholeheartedly, completely, because you still had other aspirations of what you're trying to accomplish. You're not looking for little victories here and there. From the fans' perspective, it was a complete joy. It was a blast, but you're still heartbroken because you still felt like this team could have gone to the World Series. They were the best team in the American League, right? But still, it hurts, it stings. But if we're going to be more objective, it was a tremendous year for the Orioles. The reality of what happened was the Orioles, with that layover, ran into a buzzsaw that was the Texas Rangers. And quite frankly, if the Texas Rangers play like they did against the Orioles in this series, they're going to win the World Series. And I mean, the Rangers themselves had 3 innings where they scored 14 runs combined. 2 5-run innings and 1 4-run inning in the last 2 games against the Orioles. And for the Rangers, they were doing it with 2 strikes as well. We saw that long at bat that Dean Kramer and Nathaniel Lowe was having. Even though it led to an out, it felt like those were the constant battles that Orioles pitchers were facing, at bat after at bat after at bat. And that's what makes the Rangers so dangerous. And just because they had their struggles during the season where they almost fell out of the playoffs, they scratched and clawed and made their way back in, but they're the best hitting team in the American League. They're top 3 in baseball, and they showed you why. They showed you when they were feeling good. And then how about Nathan Eovaldi, who's becoming a postseason legend? He had an unbelievable start. Plus, you could tell his month of September, he wasn't feeling right. He wasn't feeling healthy. But guess what? His last 2 starts have been spectacular. On the flip side of it, though, I will say this. It never feels good to get your ass kicked again. It hurts. You're frustrated. But what I loved is that the Orioles at no point did they surrender, did they quit. Even in that 8th inning, they kept trying to scratch and claw. In the past, though, what the Orioles had, it felt like they always came up with that big hit. They always came from behind. They just couldn't do that in this series. From game 1 on, Oriole baseball that the fans had come to see the entire season, that magic just ran out. Texas won the 1-score game. Texas is the one that hit the O's in the mouth. And then when the Orioles tried to creep back, Texas still kept them at bay. And then the final game, Texas comes out swinging and leaves little doubt in the series, right? And everyone, you can second guess, and people talk about, well, Hyde's running out the same lineup with certain guys. Why are guys pitching in certain situations? The Orioles didn't get enough pitching. I tell people this all the time. Yes, you're going to second guess when things don't go right. And of course, you're going to have thoughts and you're going to scratch your head. But at the same time, Hyde managed the team to 101 wins. He managed to the best team in the American League. And all of a sudden, because now it doesn't work, we're going to sit here and criticize the man and the team that got us to this point. The pitching staff that didn't have enough, they were good enough. Kyle Bradish turned into an ace, had one of the lowest ERAs in all of baseball, and he actually had a solid start. He got pulled a little bit early, but solid start. Grayson Rodriguez, unbelievable second half of the season, and then it just so happens that he has his worst start since May in the playoffs. And then for Dean Kramer, so many emotions and certain things going on for him that are outside of baseball with everything that's going on in the world for him, specifically with his family. And he's going out there and he's battling his ass off. But you know what? The Rangers were battling right there with him. And they put some tremendous swings on some of his pitches. And quite frankly, they won the 2-strike battle. But Dean had a tremendous year as well. And so, yes, you can say and go, well, if we had the pitching, if we had the extra bat, yeah, playoff experience is going to help, of course. But this Baltimore Orioles team really deserved and should have believed that they were going to win the World Series. Just the reality is you ran into a hotter team. I've been on teams that were so talented that never won. And then I've been on teams where they couldn't put everything together for the majority, and then you squeak something out and something magical happens. That's what's kind of happening with Texas, right? They're putting together their best part of their season at the right time. And yes, they were dominant early on in the season, but then they almost lost their opportunity in the playoffs. I mean, if you look at the formats of it too, I mean, go and look at the Arizona Diamondbacks taking it to the Dodgers. Dodgers are one of the best teams in baseball. The Braves are trying not to get set back again by the Philadelphia Phillies for the second consecutive year. Baseball happens. You just got to hope when the time comes that you can go out there and execute. And last thing I'll say, this might be the best thing that ever happens to this team, because they're sitting in that dugout after the game watching what transpired and realizing how pissed off they are, how disappointed they are. And that is just motivation. That's just fuel to the fire, and realizing that they know they can be as good as any team in baseball, and that's going to give them confidence moving forward. This team brought back a life, a joy, a passion to the city, to the community, to the fan base that they have so long been waiting for, especially the people that stuck with the team through those rough years. This is just the beginning, Birdland. I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and win 101 games and win the American League East every year, because winning's hard. I've talked about this over and over and over again. But this group that they have, that foundation that they've built there, is hungry. They have the talent to compete year in and year out moving forward. And I cannot wait to see how they respond. This is where you learn the most about people and the team. How do you respond after what you thought is great moments for you and your team and yourself and everything, and then it all goes wrong? How do you respond when shit hits the fan? I think this team's going to respond really well, and I think we're going to see the Orioles back in this position next year and in future years, and we're going to see a different result. But that's all I got. If you like this video, please remember to like it and subscribe to the channel. We have much more to talk about as we move into the rest of the playoffs and the off season. But you guys have a great rest of your night. And hey, Birdland, it's going to be all right.